going on, everyone? I hope everybody is doing well. Game 20 is in the books. The season is now officially a quarter of the way through, but more importantly, the in-season tournament. The in-season tournament is now over for the Boston Celtics. They fall tonight 112 to 122 against the Indiana Pacers. First off, I want to shout out the in-season tournament. It's definitely been a success from my point of view. You know, I'm going throughout my day today, doing my thing, but I'm getting distracted. I'm getting antsy because I'm so excited for the game later. I know it's crazy to say, but I had early game day jitters like how I do when the playoffs roll around. But anyway, let's get into the game. From a Celtic fan perspective, it was a very frustrating game for many reasons. It's hard to tell whether the offense is having real issues or it's just because Kristaps Porzingis is out. This team started off the year, one of the top 3 offenses in the league. The last 8 or 10 games or so is kind of a big sample size. It goes back to even before Kristaps Porzingis was hurt. They're just middle of the pack. Too stagnant, too ISO heavy, and too many turnovers. In this game alone, they had 17. It's a challenge for this team not to fall into ISO ball because you have 2 of the best isolation players in the league on your team in Jason and Jalen. And then the 3 guys behind them, KP, Drew, D, White. It's like, okay, all these guys can create their own shots. So I understand why ISO, it can be their bread and butter. But when it's not working, it's no flow. It's ugly. It's hard to watch. It's just eerily similar to last year's team. Last year's team gets off to a 21-5 start. And through that span, they're sharing the ball well. The threes are going in. Once that hot start wore off, they struggled to find different ways to win. And that's happening again this year, but not 26, 27 games in. It's a little bit earlier this year. But to be fair, they have grinded out some games this season that they probably wouldn't have won last year. Next thing I want to talk about also relates to last year's team and even teams previous is this team's nonchalance. The Pacers came out tonight amped up. You could tell this game meant something to them. And you just didn't get that same feeling from the Celtics team, but you'll hear people say, well, oh, they have bigger goals. It's Banner 18, just an in-season tournament, blah, blah, blah. It's like, how many times are we going to go through this? How many times are we going to hear the players and fans say that? It doesn't matter if you're playing the Detroit Pistons or if you're playing the Washington Wizards. Each individual game is a stepping stone towards the ultimate goal, and each individual game you're branding in habits to your team. All I'm saying is it was an inspiring effort from the Pacers, and it would have been nice to see the Celtics get up like that. All right, let's talk about some individual performances. We'll start with the duo, JT and JB. Tonight was one of those nights where they scored 30. They both scored 30 plus, and the stat is when they do that, they rarely lose. It's been a handful of times. I think the difference here between this 30-point games and the previous ones they've had is tonight they felt so disconnected. It almost felt like they were playing 2 separate games. And I think the box score kind of speaks for itself. Jalen had 30 points and 0 assists. 30 points and 0 assists is kind of hard to do, especially when you got a lot of ball time. These two can play off each other. We know that now. We're past that. But it's just in games where you need it like this, you want to see it. It's a one-off. We'll see what happens moving forward. What did you guys think of the rotations tonight? I thought they were a little bit different. I thought they would be tighter, more playoff-like since it was a win-or-go-home game. We saw Banton get 11 minutes. We saw Luke get 18 minutes. That's not what I expected going into tonight. And those Luke minutes, man, if we won this game, the conversation around him probably would be much different. In that second quarter there, he caught those 2 alley-oops. He was in the passing lanes. He was blocking shots. He was playing like a man possessed. He was playing like a man who needed that $500K to pay off his mortgage. We are 2 minutes into the episode and we're already talking about Luke Cornett. I guess it never happened, so let's go with it. But here's my thing, right? If Luke is your 3rd big man and KP is going to be out here and there from injuries, then Luke's going to get some minutes. And teams like Indiana, fast-paced, young, athletic, that Luke just gets exposed in the defensive end. And it's not far-fetched to say, like, this is a first-round matchup. KP could be hurt. Do the Celtics need to be in the market for a better 3rd big man? Or games like this when KP is out, Al just going to play 40 minutes? I don't know, just tossing around ideas here. We're going to do a trade episode soon, so we'll see. Drew and Derek both didn't look themselves tonight. At one point, we saw Derek limping, and then we saw Drew get pulled off the floor because of his knee. Derek gets a pass. I mean, he's been phenomenal all year. When do you ever see him have 5 turnovers in a game? But Drew, let me talk about Drew for a sec. His defense has been phenomenal all year on guards and even on bigs. But on the offensive end, it's just been very shaky. I think on the year, he's down to 45% from 2. And that's low by his standards. Ever since he got to New Orleans, he's been up over that mark. And I'm really sitting here just trying to think of the reason for his offensive inconsistencies. What do you guys think it is? I don't think it's age or regression. If I had to guess, he's just having a difficult time fitting into this offensive system, being the 4th or 5th option some nights. Moving forward, I hope this team finds ways for Drew just to get some easy buckets. Let's do some Pacers talk. If there's any Pacers fans listening, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this game. They're as advertised, play fast, push the pace, young and athletic, and that was one of the things that really stood out to me in tonight's game. By no means are the Celtics an old team, but the difference in athleticism, I mean, it just felt like there was a huge gap there tonight. If you go player by player, I don't think there actually is. I just think it's a difference in play style. And shout out Tyrese. He's one of them ones. I made that short earlier today. It said, Celtics have not allowed any player to have 8 or more assists on them. Will Tyrese Haliburton be able to do that tonight? And he did. He ended up with 13, and on top of that, he got his first career triple-double. He plays with a confidence and passion that's hard not to love. He goes out there tonight against 2 of the best perimeter defenders, best point of attack defenders in the league, Derek and Drew, against a contending team, his second nationally televised game of his career, and just puts on a show and closes this team out in the fourth quarter. In that 4-point play, that was probably one of the crazier shots I've seen all year. His form makes it look a little bit crazier than it actually is, but he's just a special player. If you're a fan of a franchise, there's always a lot of what ifs, and Tyrese is that what if for me. In that 2020 draft, when we had the 14th pick and selected his teammate now, Aaron Nesmith, Tyrese was the 12th pick. Just imagine if he just somehow dropped to 14, or we were able to move up and snag him. My thing with the Celtics is I love when they play with the pace, but sometimes they just fall out of that for whatever reason. Imagine Tyrese and Jaylen Brown in transition. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it. Let's wrap it up right there. As I said earlier, Celtics are now 15-5 on the season, and they are eliminated from the in-season tournament. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. It's the best way to support me. I'm always going to be here after all Celtics games, all 82 plus. I will see you guys Friday, I think. Friday, New York Knicks or Milwaukee Bucks, December 8th. Peace.